Adams. Mr. Grow is absent. Mr. Melvin. Mr. Wendell. Mr. Arabi. Chairman Oten.
Here.
Mrs. Chasson. Mr. Lorraine. President Chasson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carleen. If everyone would please rise, we'll be led in invocation by Councilman Wendell, followed by Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Adams.
As we gather here tonight, we ask that you watch over our proceedings, guide us with a steady hand, and allow us to make decisions with the best interests of the parish in mind. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right, we'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. We would ask that you respectfully turn your phones off or put them on silent so as not to disrespect anyone else that may have the floor at that time. Also, we want to remind anyone wishing to address the council during public wishing to address the council, please fill out a blue form at the entrance and get it up here to the council clerk to ensure that we recognize you. Also, we will ask for audience input, or public input rather, during each one of the ordinances if anyone wants to speak on an ordinance. However, when we get to the resolutions, it'll only be a council deliberating before we bring it to a vote. With that said, we will jump right into approval of minutes. Item A. Item 1, I'll now entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the September 26, 2023 regular session. So moved by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones. All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, the absence being Councilman Grow. Item B, state and/or federal legislative updates. I do not see any legislators in the audience. Brings us to item C. We have none, Ms. Carleen. Item D, presentations and/or updates. Item 2, Parish President to recognize the Lafourche Parish Government Employee of the Month and/or WOW Employee for the month of September 2023. Mr. President, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our Employee of the Month this month joined Lafourche Parish Government as an equipment operator and a truck driver in May of 2022. He hit the ground running, and in less than 6 months, he became an assistant supervisor at our Lockport field office. He embodies the can-do attitude with no job being too big or complex. And when he sees a challenging task, he takes it as an opportunity to learn new things and better his skills. He has never met a challenge that he hasn't embraced and is often called upon to lead our in-house special projects team. This employee is very diligent in his work and always uses his available resources to get the job done safely and efficiently. I think Robbie's going to throw up some pictures, maybe, Robbie, of some of the work he's done. I know you've seen it in some of Dylan's presentations as well. But he takes a pride in his work and is apparent that he has goes above and beyond for everyone and everything on the job sites. From hauling equipment to digging outfall ditches and building pump screens, our Employee of the Month this month is undoubtedly make things happen every month, and we're proud to have Mr. Chris Zeller as the Employee of the Month this month.
You want us to hang tight for a minute? I was kind of confused as you were reading. You kept looking up here. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? You're sure?
Yeah, I will say I know we've shown a couple of them in Dylan's presentations before, but hell of an operator and hell of a leader for some of the in-house stuff we've done, whether it was trash screens, fixing the ditch slope issues on the West 11th Street project in your area, Councilwoman Chasson. So good job, Chris. We appreciate you.
Yeah. And we could always bring up at another meeting and certainly mention that. So thank you for your service to our citizens. Thank you, sir. All right, with that being said, we'll move to item E, Legal Advisor Report. We have none. Item F, Engineers and/or Architect Reports.
Now we're on?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. Laura Barnes with GIS Engineering, 197 Elysian Drive in Houma. Okay. right, some project updates for you this evening. Let's see, did it work? Okay, so the Butch Hill Pump Station, we're in the final design phase of that. We've delivered a 98% design package for review. The front end and tech specs are complete, and we do have the coastal use from DNR, and the core permit have been issued. Next up, Valentine Pontoon Bridge. I know that we're all anxious for, ooh, did I do that? I did do that? Thank you. I know that we're all anxious to get this one underway. We made a lot of headway, and then we kind of got stuck with NEPA, which could take us probably a year to get that permit. So we submitted the 95% design package. We got comments back from the parish and from DOTD. We'll incorporate those, but at this point, we're kind of at the mercy of the grant process. Grand Bayou Freshwater Reintroduction. So we do have a company out of Texas that we are going to meet with next week on tunnel thrusters, bow thrusters. They name them differently. We're going to vet that as an option for this pump station. And depending on the outcome of that meeting, we'll be ready to move forward into final design on this project. On the waste collection facility, so we did get, at the bottom there, we got a 1975 map of a proposed landfill. We're gonna overlay that and then have follow-up discussions with the parish on additional geotech investigations so that we can find a location. Hurricane Ida pump station rehab. So we've revised the reports on Ravenswood and Magnolia, waiting on FEMA's response and path forward for that. We revised the natural gas company canal, Edgar Gidry and Old Valentine pump stations. Those reports are complete based on FEMA's guidance, and then H&H models and reports for Ravenswood and Magnolia have been submitted. Edgar Gidry pump station H&H model is currently underway. So those are progressing. The North Berrioff Street drainage improvements, there are some items on the agenda later for that, but just an update on that. We did receive quotes in September. We had 3 bidders. The low bidder was Byron E. Talbot. Base bid $240,480, and then a cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish and the Drainage District is in progress. Eunice Alamo Pump Station, so we're revising the design of the pump station to accommodate a new 30-inch hydraulic pump. The analyses for alternative structural options are ongoing, and by next Friday we should have a report to you. Lockport Elevated Boardwalk, so we did, ELOS provided the notification on the Corps and DNR permits so that geotech can go out. So Eustis is currently scheduled, I believe next week or the following week, to go out and do a boring. And then we just continue to work with you guys to find funding sources. And that's all I have.
Anyone have any questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Do we have any other architect and or engineer reports tonight? Okay, last call. All right, brings us to item G, public wishing to address the council public hearings, agenda items, etc. Ms. Corleen.
Jerry Lynn, if you'd come to the podium, Ms. Lynn, state your name and address for the record, and please remember you have 3 minutes.
Okay, Jerry Lynn.
You might. Is her mic on? Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
31 Amarillo Drive, Houma, Louisiana.
Her mic is not on.
70360.
No, your mic's not on. Press the button.
Okay, try
Yep.
again.
Oh, yeah, we can hear it now.
Okay, do I need to say it again?
Please.
Yes, Jerry Lynn, 31 Amarillo Drive, Houma, Louisiana, 70360. I'm here representing Hunter Lundy. He asked me to step in for him tonight. I've never done any political campaigning. He is a campaign for the governor, and I've never ever done any political campaigning, so you've never seen me before like this. Not anything I ever really wanted to do before, and it's a little bit different because I met Hunter before he campaigned, and When I met Hunter, I was having issues with Hurricane Ida, my home, my business. I'm sure you probably know I'm from Jerry Lynn Nissan in Houma. And my home and my business were hit pretty hard, and I needed help to collect from the insurance companies. So Hunter was part of the team that came in to help me. And the first time I met him at the dealership, I sat down in the office with him, and he explained the process of what this was going to be. It's going to be a long process. I'm actually still in that process, but he's no longer with that group. And I listened to him, and he just stopped and said, "Do you need me to pray for you?" And I said, "Well, yeah. Can I pray for you?" I said, "Yes, you can." He said, "Is there anything you need me to pray for?" And so I was having an issue. I have 5 children, so I always have some kind of issue, right? And I had an issue that I needed some prayer for, and he started praying for me, and I just left the office crying and very touched, and I went and talked to my coworkers and said, "I don't feel like I met my attorney. I feel like I just left an altar call." So Hunter and I connected, and later on he became involved in the campaign and let me know what he was doing. So it's a personal thing for me to stand up and represent him, something like I say I've never done before, but I love his Christian attitude. I love his love of people. He's very, very family, very education focused. He wants our state to be better. We have highest poverty, highest crime. He wants the state to be better, and education and family values, discipline in schools, teacher pay, things that we really, really need that will make a difference, and character building programs for the kids in schools. We need these things. So I believe in what he stands for. He wants to serve. He has a heart of servitude, and he's a kind, wonderful, very strong individual who's not afraid to stand up to any cause that he has to stand up for. He will fight to the bitter end. He calls himself David versus Goliath, and he really, really is a fighter, but he's a wonderful, wonderful man, and with your vote and with your help and with God's hand, he can win, and he will win.
That's good. Thank you, ma'am. Much appreciated. Okay, that's all we had. At this time, we've done this in the past, and I know we've allowed some other candidates over the last couple of weeks to come in and introduce themselves, and we're still in the public wishing to address the council. If any council member, as a public person, wants to spend 3 minutes and just tell about themselves before the elections this Saturday, you're more than welcome to do so. Is anyone interested in doing that? I want to offer it. Last call. Anyone? Nope. All right, we'll move right on to the agenda. That said, we'll move to item H, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I'll now entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grove. Number 3 will be deferred to the November 28th meeting. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Okay. So that brings us to item 4, ordinance granting a variance from the Lafourche Parish subdivision regulations from the number of lots on a cul-de-sac in Dixie Heights Plantation, phases 1 through 5, as not recommended by the Lafourche Parish Planning Commission at their August 30th, 2023 meeting. This is on motion by Mr. Adams, administration, second by Mr. Jones. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 4? Second call, anyone from the public, ordinance number 4. Last and final call, does anyone from the audience want to comment on item number 4? Does anyone from the council wants to discuss this ordinance? There being none? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Wendell.
Did we find out what the specifics were on if they're trying to add more lots or what they're doing? I know one of them was setbacks, but this is the number of lots on it.
Does anyone from the administration have an answer to that?
David, you want to come up and explain it? Mr. David Poinson is if you haven't met him, is the new Miss Pat.
I was going to say, you might want to introduce yourself first so everyone knows that it's not Miss Pat here.
David Poinson, Lafourche Parish Planning, here. The setbacks that you're referring to is for the previous ordinance. And this ordinance is regarding a variance of the number of lots that are allowed on a cul-de-sac. Those parish regulations are 14, and they're engineered for 18 lots at the cul-de-sac. So it's in violation of the regulations, and that was the reason the Planning Commission did not approve, contingent upon the council granting a variance.
Okay, I was just curious, and I'm curious for the one that was deferred as well, because if we add 4 more lots to an already congested cul-de-sac, we're gonna have, issues with parking, and if somebody has a party, the sheriff's office has to go out and, on all kind of civil matters, deciphering who's parked where, and this is a lot different than a simple fire hydrant on property. This is gonna cause, not in the cul-de-sac one, but the other one, speeding issues, because the houses are closer to the street,
Right.
which leaves less parking area for the residents, so they end up parking on the street and kids playing, and this just seems like a nightmare to me, so thank you for your input on it.
Sure. And it is a fair assumption that all other developers have been required to the max of 14 lots as stated. With that said, any further discussion? There being none, we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. All against say nay. Nay. So this this ordinance fails by a vote of 0 yeas, 8 nays, 1 absence, that absent being Councilman Grill. We good? All right. Okay, I'll now entertain a motion to close public hearing. So moved by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones. All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Grill. Brings us to item I, proposed ordinances. Ms. Dillon, you have the floor, ma'am.
Proposed ordinance 5, to install caution autistic child in area, signs to be placed before and after 115 Chetta Place, Home, Louisiana, Ward 11, District 5, Parish of Lafourche, State, Louisiana, and providing for the placement of caution autistic child in area signs as stated above. Mr. Jim Wendell. Number 6, proposed ordinance to install caution autistic child in area, signs to be placed before and after 161 Turning Leaf Drive, Gray, Louisiana, Ward 11, District 5, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, and providing for the placement of caution autistic child in area signs as stated above. Mr. Jim Wendell. Number 7, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 6232 and amending and reenacting the Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34-Special Districts, Article 9, and Recreation District, Section 34-215C, as it pertains to creating term limits for Recreation District Number 11. Board members, Mr. Jim Wendell. Proposed ordinance adopting the 2024 Operations and Maintenance and Capital Budget for Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of unclassified employees as provided for by Article 5 of Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Brings to item J, scheduled budget, public hearings, and enactment of the 2024 budget ordinance. Item number 9, was that? Item number 9, schedule the first public hearing, by 8:10, but I'm entertaining a motion. So I'll now entertain a motion to schedule the first budget public hearing on November 6, 2023 at 6 p.m. So moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion will pass with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Grove. Item 10 is to schedule the second budget public hearing. I'll now entertain a motion to schedule the second budget public hearing on November 7th, 2023 at 6 p.m. So moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Grove. Item 11, schedule enactment of the 2024 budget ordinance. Now entertain a motion to schedule the enactment of the 2024 budget ordinance on November 28th, 2023. So moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, the absence being Councilman Grove. Brings us to item K, resolutions. Number 12, resolution to remove 7 members from the Lafourche Parish Commission on Women Board at the request of the board and requesting the administration to advertise for the vacancies accordingly. Moved by Mr. Wendell, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? Mr. Wendell, you have the floor.
I had some phone calls in reference to this, and there's also a proposed ordinance adjusting some board issues that's coming up next meeting. And I just wanted to say that, the parish has 60-something boards and commissions, and it's all staffed by volunteers. And we couldn't do it without the people who get involved in these boards and commissions and help government run, so we appreciate those folks. This is not an attack on any group or anything. There seemed to be some miscommunication about there may be trouble with some boards or whatever, and this is basically to clean up a few things. We have some boards that need to be altered over time because of the functions of the boards or because of no function. We also have some people who, due to health, work, different things, can no longer function on a board, so that's why sometimes the council has to make those things. So this is nothing against those board members, because I know their names are listed in some of the paperwork that you can find online. This is not because of any wrongdoing or anything else. This is just I don't want to say restructuring, but we're redoing some members, moving some members around, some inactive members that because of one thing or another can no longer function on the board. I was contacted by the family of Dr. Marilyn Kilgan, who was one of the people on the Commission for Women's Board. And they would like me to read a short little statement on behalf of them and their mother. It says, in 2020, Dr. Marilyn Kilgan was diagnosed with an illness and has been unable to serve on the Commission on Women Board. Dr. Kilgan truly loved being on the board. However, her family regrets that she will be unable to continue to serve due to her illness. So as with everyone else, I want to thank her for her service on that board, and we wish her luck with her health in the future.
Mr. Melvin.
Yeah, and it's, by the way, it's Kildren, but anyway, so, yeah, Dr. Kildren was her husband, and they both taught at Nichols. Taught me. Yeah. So, before we vote on this, I'm just curious, I see Ms. Laura out there, and she's Commissioner of Women. I'm just asking to make sure, I don't know, this is all news to me, but, I didn't know, I mean, I'm just
All
saying.
right, so Mr. Melvin would like to relinquish some time to you if you'd like to comment on this resolution. You don't have to, it's up to you.
Yeah, I didn't know, I mean, I'm just totally in the dark with this, but.
I had
You
met
good?
with the.
She's
with
good?
the-
So you met with Ms. Laura already?
I met with Ms. Laura
Okay, that's
a
fine.
few months ago and the other members of the board.
I'm just making sure, okay.
And we're having, there's been some issues where people have not attended, and they have quite a few people on their board.
That's fine, I just wanted to make sure, I see us sitting in the audience, and that's
Yeah,
her deal,
and
so.
at some points in times, they have trouble getting a quorum together to conduct business because of the amount of members that need to be present, because of the number of members that need to be, because of the number of members that are on the board. So we're trying to take off some people who have no communication that we've attempted to reach out to and couldn't, or because of health reasons, they can't submit, their letter of resignation or whatever, and move forward.
All right, thank you, sir. Any further discussion? There being none, we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Item 13, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Pistol and Associates Incorporated for the project titled Repairs to Parish Pump Stations, Small, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Chestnut for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Item 14, resolution approving the purchase of one 310 P-tier backhoe loader from Doggett Machinery Services in the amount of $118,636.80, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Ms. Chestnut will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Item 15, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Lafourche Parish Drainage District Number 1 to reimburse $118,636.80 for the purchase of one 310 P-tier backhoe loader, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Ms. Chestnut will move on behalf of the administration. Mr. Jones seconds that motion. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Item 16, resolution accepting the low bid of Geosport Lighting Systems LLC in the amount of $1,773,600 for the project titled Recreation Facility Hurricane Ida Lighting System Repair, Replacement, Golden Meadow, and La Rose Fields, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer an agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Chestnut for the administration, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grow. Item 17, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action, and Lanyap Pharmacy 8 LLC for the purpose of providing prescription assistance and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grove. Item 18, resolution approving agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and GIS Engineering LLC for the project titled North Barrios Drainage Improvements and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Adams will move on my behalf, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absent being Councilman Grove. Item 19, resolution accepting the low quote from Byron Talbot Contract Incorporated in the amount of $240,480 for the project titled North Barrios Drainage Improvements and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer an agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Jones will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? I just want to thank the parish and specifically Dylan on helping to get this project kicked off after so many years. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank, if you look at the next item, I want to thank the Drainage District for actually contributing to the project and making it happen. So I know Mr. Herb's going to be very pleased. With
Excellent, excellent, outstanding. Takes time, but we getting it. Very good. No further discussion. We'll bring it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grove. Item 20, resolution approving agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Lafourche Parish Drainage District Number 1 to reimburse $240,480 for the project titled North Barrios Drainage Improvements, authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones on my behalf, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? I will just reiterate what the parish president just said. Thank you to Drainage District Number 1. That said, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absent being Councilman Grove. Item 21, resolution adopting policies and procedures in connection with the Housing and Urban Development, Community Development Block Grant programs offered to the Louisiana Office of Community Development, authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Grove. Item 22, resolution accepting donations in the total amount of $3,500 to be used for the Police Jury Association of Louisiana Regions 1 and 2 meeting and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jones will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? I would just say it was absolutely thrilling to be able to utilize that community center for that event. With that said, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 absence, that absent being Councilman Grove. Item 23, resolution approving agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and High Tide Consultants, LLC for the project titled LA 3266 Widening and Turn Lane Addition and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Araby will move on behalf of Mr. Grove for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absent being Councilman Grove. Item 24, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Ames Group Incorporated for the project titled Lockport Living Shoreline and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Araby will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? Mr. Chesson.
I know we talked about this last time, Mr. Chairman, but Nick LeBlanc from Danos, who's kind of the brainchild behind the Cajun Coral stuff, will be here at the next meeting to give you guys a bigger presentation of what we're doing there. So just a heads up.
Excellent. I'll see, like I said last time, very excited to see this one kick off. With that said, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passed 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absent being Councilman Grove. Brings us to item L, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, or Managers' Reports, Presentations, and our updates. Item 25, Department of Public Works Representative to present a report. Dylan, you have the floor, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, sir. All right, if everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and get started with the October presentation. Starting with the Thibodeau Field Office, Louisa Street outfall, remove trees and debris. Little Owl outfall, swept outfall. This is a concrete line ditch, repaired washout. This is in the country club. Moving to the Choctaw Field Office is Choctaw South Levee, clean Borrow Canal. Kramer North Levee, also clean the Borrow Canal. Moving to the Bayou Blue Field Office is Holly Drive, swept roadside ditches. Baja Trail, removed and replaced collapsed driveway culvert. Ida Street, clean culverts, as well as Romero Street. Fern Street, swept roadside ditches. Moving to the Raceland Field Office is the Wilson Street outfall, swept the outfall. Blanchard Canal, removed the high spot in the ditch. I was holding back some water. Aspen Drive, swept roadside ditches. The Fields, Juneau, Blue Line, and Caberland right-of-way, shred trees on that right-of-way. Moving to Lockport Field Office is LaRose Landing outfall, swept outfall. Chester Lee subdivision, installed speed limit and caution signs. North Oak Street, clean culverts. Moving to Galliana Field Office is West 49th Street, repaired pothole. The Phil Gilbo outfall, swept outfall. West 175th Street, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. And we have a good bit of work that was completed by the maintenance contractor this month, so this section will be a little lengthy, but this is 216 Pelican Drive, repaired asphalt driveway, as well as 218 Pelican Drive. Magnolia Street, this is an asphalt patch. This is a culvert that was replaced about 8 months ago. Bayou Lures and Bayou Onion, this is an asphalt patch. 223 North Lake Drive, repaired broken curb. 207 Marmont Avenue, repaired broken curve. As well as 261 Marmont. 208 Marmont. This is Serenity Drive, repaired concrete panels. Copperfield Court, repaired subsurface drainage in this area. We found when we dug this up that there must have been a problem during installation. The pipe was kinked, so there was a washout that appeared years after the subdivision was built, but residents kept complaining of a washout in the yard, so when we went and investigated it, the culvert had to be changed out. Boomerang Circle, repaired concrete panels. Gaines Community Center, repaired subsurface drainage. Highland and Wanda, asphalt patch for a cross culvert. Adams Boulevard, asphalt patch for a cross culvert. 332 Green Acre Street, asphalt patch. As well as 354 Green Acre Street. And 359. 218 Pig Trail Drive, repaired concrete driveway. As well as 229 Pig Trail Drive. East 157th Street, repaired concrete driveway. 126 West 65th Street, repaired concrete driveway. And as far as the office work that was completed over the last month, we had one permanent servitude that was acquired, one major subdivision was inspected. There were no major subdivision reviews. There was one property redivision review. 135 culvert permits were issued, as well as one fence permit. 308 work requests were received. 75 permits were reviewed for compliance, and 22 jobs were completed by the maintenance contractor. As far as projects in engineering, there are currently 29 projects in design phase, 5 projects which are under construction. No projects are currently out to bid, and 1 project has recently been complete. There's a substantial completion walkthrough scheduled for Thursday this week for that project, but I figured it was close enough to add it up. Also, while we were in the meeting, Robbie did add the 6 pictures from Mr. Chris Zella in the slide, so you can see them all. And just to give you an idea, the left side is trash screens at Cyprian that were completed in-house. The next 3 pictures are from the Nolan Tubes Drainage Improvement Project that were engineered but not bid out. We decided to tackle it in-house, and he led that project for us. He and the supervisor, Mr. Sonny Crosby. So you see 78-inch arch pipe culvert installation, which is a big deal considering we had to keep that water in the Barrow Canal from backing in. That whole Barrow Canal could have fed through that subdivision. So they did a really good job on that top right picture. Center bottom is the Emily DiArcangelo outfall, which was another big project that helped us out. And bottom right is our favorite, West 11th. So you can see the repair he did there. So this is just some of the work that our guys do, and specifically Chris does for us. And with that, my presentation is complete. I'll entertain any questions.
All right. Mr. Melvin, you have the floor
Hey,
first.
Dylan, thank you. I appreciate y'all getting on that, in the country club with that backfill. Real quick, do we know offhand, I had a call about, Spectrum. I know, do we know, they've been doing some work like in the middle of the night in my new area. People are calling me now. And, the guy went out to go to work, plant worker, got up at 3 in the morning. Guy squatting in his yard. He's like, whoa, what he's doing, using the bathroom or something? He's fixing something for Spectrum, like middle of the night work. Happened twice. And the guy said, look, you know, we're trying to do work in the middle of the night. We're out cutting people's service. So it was a little disturbing because, I mean, to me, I mean, I don't know how many people want to be in anybody's yard in the middle of the night, if that's the front yard, backyard, what have you. But I know I might have spoken to Mitch, but I'm just drawing a blank. Do we have a contact with Spectrum?
I can look. I don't have one
Okay.
offhand, but
I don't know. I mean,
they probably would have sent us a
'cause
request
if
for a
you
letter
work
of no
in the
objection to
area-
work in the right of way, so I
yeah,
can,
send
I
us
can
some
look.
if you're working, you know. Also, do we know anything about anything on the board as far as what we could do with Miss Lombardo's, you know, erosion of her land next to her?
As mentioned before, I think I sent you the product we're looking to use on another ditch. That project was completely designed. It's in review right now. We're hoping to go out to bid before the end of the year. Once we see that product in action, I think it's something we can maybe utilize there. We'll talk to the engineer and look at the location of it. It just depends on how much erosion is happening there and how much is actually sloughing in. Because the product is a cheaper product, but it's not made to hold back as much as a sheet pile wall would or a concrete lined ditch.
Right. And just two more real quick. So I know in the outfalls at Percy and one along Fairfield, I know we've talked about it, but usually when the parish used to cut it, they would cut the whole ditch.
Yeah, I sent you an email
yeah,
on that
yeah.
today, right before the meeting.
Yeah, maybe I didn't check it before.
Yeah, we had a down tractor, and
Perfect,
so
okay.
that's been cleared. Those ditches were all cut today.
Okay.
So
And that's fine. And lastly, I noticed if anybody's ever ridden through some of these neighborhoods, like I know Acadia Woods has one, because we're all hearing about stop signs, and this is, or the speeders. And this is just something you might want to take a look at. You can Google it and Google stop sign that has a solar panel, and it also posts the speed, has a radar built into it. I'm sorry, not stop sign, speed limit. So like, for instance, it says 25 miles an hour, it's a real sign, and then above it's a digital, and then there's a solar panel. So it's kind of cool because we've been talking about speed humps, speed bumps. We've been talking about, some people want stop signs to slow the people down. But I don't know if this is possible. I see your lights on, Mr. President, but I think it's pretty neat because it slows people down because it lets you know your speed, it's solar powered, and it gives you a digital readout. And it kind of is a little reminder like it, you know, I thought it was pretty cool.
It's not intrusive at all.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. President.
it might have been the meeting you were absent, Mr. Melvin, but the meeting we got in, we had a discussion about traffic calming devices, right? I'm pretty sure that we can stretch the definition of a traffic calming device to those sorts of things.
Okay.
So in some cases, I know Dylan's put together some pricing about how to make those things work, and I think we're gonna try them first in Councilman Otan's area. And if they do begin to work, then maybe that's a cheaper alternative and less maintenance on our end, on the back end,
Yeah.
less intrusive to the residents to have to ride over the speed humps constantly. And if it slows people down and it's working, then that may be something we begin to look at.
Yeah, I
more
did
than
miss
just
one
the-
meeting. I know we've been kind of going on for years
Yeah.
about this. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, good point. Mr. Wendell?
Hey, when showing Chris's pictures, you brought up Cyprian. Considering the problems we've had in the past, is that running smooth now?
yes, sir.
Got you. Appreciate it.
Mr.
And
Jones?
I will say, I'm sorry,
Go
real
ahead.
quick, Mr. Chairman. We are excited to announce that we are installing a SCADA system, and Cyprian is the first pump station that is going to be fully live on SCADA. They started installing it Monday of this week. We're hoping by the end of the month to actually be able to view the station running, view water levels, have active readings, real-time readings on fuel levels, water levels, discharge levels, all of that stuff. So pretty exciting thing to see. That is the first one we did it on. So fingers crossed everything goes good. There are 10 stations total that are in line to do that. This is the first of those 10.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Lafourche.
Yes, sir.
A quick update on Diplomat Way.
Diplomat Way, that was the project I was just talking about earlier. Engineering plans were sent to us Friday. They are currently under review. As soon as we can get those review and those comments back to the engineer, he'll get it out to bid. So
All right, appreciate
hoping to
it.
get it done in the next few weeks.
Thank you.
Brings us to item M. Thank you, Dylan.
Thank
Appreciate
y'all.
it. Brings us to item M, questions for the administration. Ms. Delaney, you have the floor, ma'am.
Resolution 16, can we backtrack to that one and just talk about, so the bids accepted, when do we expect to see action happening with those lights?
So I'll sign everything in the morning and issue them a notice to proceed based on what they have to order. The metal poles will probably take a couple of weeks to get in. So we're probably talking about a month before you see any real work.
All right, no one else has any questions for the administration? Brings us to item N, discussion. I'll take the floor first, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things. One, thank you all for coming to the police jury meeting. It was a great meeting to have at the community center. We got a lot of compliments on the buildings. Congratulations to Councilman Jones, who got sentenced to the resolutions committee for the Police Jury Association, so we appreciate you doing that, Councilman Jones. Lisa and District Attorney Russell asked me to remind everyone that on October 11th, which is tomorrow, at 2 p.m. at the Harangue Auditorium, they will do their live ethics training. So if anybody needs up here or any board and commission member, public servant that has to do their yearly ethics training, it'll be done tomorrow. We did open bids today for the new agricultural complex, Rodeo Arena, Showbarn. We're going to meet with the engineers tomorrow to go through the alternates and see which ones we want to pick, which ones we don't, and then hopefully have a recommendation and a resolution to approve those bids on the 24th meeting. And then luckily, if you guys have paid attention to what's happening in DC, when they did the budget deal, they did approve about $16 billion in disaster relief funding. So all the stuff I've talked about where FEMA instituted the immediate needs funding and everything kind of stopped at a halt, that has gone again. At our conference call that Mitch participates on every couple of weeks with our FEMA group last week, we have about $40 million in the queue that's waiting to come to us. So that'll be some reimbursements not only for debris and some of the other outstanding stuff we have, but hopefully some obligations on some of the other projects we're working on. So that's a good thing. We're seeing some stuff move again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Adams.
Yeah, I just want to say that the Gumbo Festival in Jack Bay's this weekend, the 13th, 14th, and the 15th. And if you need any more information, go to lagumbofest.com and have everything you need. Just come out, have a good time, some good food. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Any further discussion? I'll end it with, first I want to thank the community. We just had La Fête de Vieton, you know, and I always got a lot of respect. I know Delane puts her festival on at the Cutoff Youth Center. It's a massive undertaking. But I want to thank all the sponsors and the visitors and the businesses that support, as well as the parish and the Tourist Commission. My director, Mr. Terry Araby, who's also one of the co-founders, and we're just trying to preserve a piece of the culture here in Lafourche Parish. So I thank everyone, and I'm thankful that Mother Nature gave us some good weather for a change. Last thing I have is with this being Fire Prevention Month, if you have children, you know that we were out in the schools. Just reminding everyone, this is the time of the year, check your smoke detectors and your carbon monoxide detectors, making sure that your batteries are good. Also have a plan with your children on if there is an emergency event, on where you're going to meet at outside to get out and be able to find each other. And if they can't find you, that they find someone in uniform. I also want to remind everyone to keep your doors closed at nighttime. It makes a huge difference. The entire house can burn, and it serves as a great fire break. And when we pull up, first thing we're going to want to know is have a clear understanding of their occupants and where are utilities. So if you don't know where your utilities at your house, such as your gas valve, how do we shut the gas, electric off, please know that and just give us a heads up as we continue Fire Prevention Month activities. Nothing to add to that right now, Mr. Wendell? All right, thank you. With that said, I got a motion on the floor for adjournment by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. There being no further business, the Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting of October 10th, 2023 will be adjourned at 1744 hours. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passed 8 yeas, 0 nays. One absent, absence being Councilman Grove. Thank you all.